Hi, my name is Ann Beal, and we welcome you to the show Living Well. Today with us is our guest, Pete Incaviglia. He's a professional baseball player, and we have him here today to talk about what it's like when you're on the road a lot and you can't be home as much, being good role models for youth, and just really wanted to visit with him and see what life is like as a professional athlete. Pete Incaviglia, his statistics are pretty incredible. He has over 200 home runs. His batting average is around 250, and he's played for Texas, Detroit, Houston, if I leave out anybody, just tell me, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and the New York Yankees.
You can say just about anybody, and you wouldn't be wrong.
Welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
We have Pete here to ask him questions about his family, as I said, but we want to start out just kind of asking you questions about what it's like to be a professional athlete. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I mean, it's when you're a kid, everybody dreams about being a professional athlete, but and when you're finally there, you really don't feel like a professional athlete. I mean, as far as myself, I mean, everybody's a different individual. Some people really take to being a famous person, and some people just kind of like stay the same. And I guess I'm on that, that sheet, where I'd be down at the bottom. I'm a pretty low-key guy. I don't like a lot of attention. I just pretty much keep to myself. And it's really not a big deal to me or to my family or to my kids. I'm just dad and just, a husband to Lori. I'm not this high and mighty figure that, people seem to look up to, because, my kids sometimes they go, Dad, how come everybody wants your autograph? It's like, I said, I don't know, son, but as they got older, they started to appreciate more, understanding it more, but as far as I'm concerned, I think it's been great for me. I mean, the life, I've been fortunate enough to do something for 14 years that I enjoy and I love to do. And I mean, if you can do that, I mean, anything that makes you happy is I think a great thing. So, I've been very fortunate. I've been very, very blessed by God, and I just feel thankful every day that I'm able to do something that I love to do every day.
That's great. Does the celebrity status not, because I would think, my husband's first question was, how do you go from, yeah, you're the man, and you're great, and the crowd applauding and hearing all that, and then coming home and just like having to wipe noses and having your wife, have a hard day and having to vacuum the floor, and I would think that would be a hard transition to make.
Well, everything takes a little bit of work. I'm like I said, I'm very fortunate. I have a wonderful woman in my life, and behind every good man is a really great woman, and I believe in that. And she's really held things together as when I'm off playing. She's a mom and a dad, and she's got to take care of everything, and she's got to drag kids on the airplane and you can get them to where I'm at, because I got to be here at a certain time. I got to be there, so it's kind of frantic. When I come home, the off season, it's pretty much strictly family, and I try and help her out as much as I can, because she's been doing without a spouse for 7-8 months, and it's a big sacrifice on her part, and so I try and show her that I really appreciate that, that she's supported me through my career, and it's tough. You got to work at it. I mean, it's tough. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy lifestyle. It's not, quote unquote, what everybody thinks it's cracked up to be. Yeah, everything up front. You have the fame. You make good money. Your family lives well, but on the other side, it's tough. It's a tough deal. It's something that you got to work at. It's not easy for anybody.
I would think 7 months, that's quite a bit of time to make up for,
Yeah.
It's quite a deficit. How do you do that? I mean, when you're on the road, do you have a video phone or email, or what do you do there?
Well, I mean, we talk every day, we talk on the phone every day, and, we see each other. I mean, they'll come down and see me, or I'll try and fly home on a day off or something and come spend a day off and the next day at home. It's tough. I mean, you have to work it. Like I said, when I get we play like 20 straight days, and we have a day off. I mean, I don't feel like getting on a plane and getting on another plane to come home, but I know that I have to do it because I want to see my kids. So you just have to work it out. You figure it out. You know what I mean? If the
Yeah.
kids got 4 or 5 days off, you know, you try and get them on a plane and get out. You know, we do the best that we can, and family, in our family, the kids come first. You know, our children come first. Everything will be sacrificed for the children because, you know, to me and my wife, they're the most important thing to us in the world. You know, there's nothing else that I wouldn't give up for them. You know, so we try and put them first, and we try and instead of, and it has its fun times, and you know, and everything has its down times too. I mean, it's tough. It's never boring. I'll say that. It's never boring. It's kind of a hard question, you know, to get into it because it's just on the go, you know, on the move, you know, nonstop roller coaster ride for 7 or 8 months. You know, I mean, it's just
so
nonstop.
The family, they do try to, they do come out. I know. Did Lori ever travel with you?
Oh, they come out, but you know, after a while, it kind of wears on her. You know, I mean, it's hard. You know, especially when they were younger and they're just babies, and you know, I mean, it's not like I can get on the plane and help her. You know, I gotta, you know, I have a job. I mean, it's not like I can miss a day. You know, it's like say, hey, I'm gonna call in sick today. You know, it doesn't work that way. You know, you have to be there. Your time is allotted for 7 or 8 months, and I have to be at that place at that certain time all the time. You know, I mean, all my time is allotted for, so it's not like I can like call in sick or say, hey, I'm gonna be a little late for the game. It doesn't work that way. You know, you get in huge trouble. So. I mean, after a while, I think, you know, for her, you know, dragging the kids around, and I mean, it's not an easy job. It's the toughest job in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Is you know, it's raising children and teaching them to have the right morals and values. And like I said, I'm very fortunate. I got a very strong woman behind me, and she's the greatest, as far as I'm concerned. I couldn't do what I do if it wasn't for her. There's no question about that.
It does sound like it's quite a calling to be a professional athlete's wife. She seems to do real well in it, though.
Yeah, she does. I mean, she's a wonderful person, and she is really, you know, we're going on 14 years of marriage. Our anniversary's in January, so we got married at a young age. I mean, we were in college, and you know, she's been through a lot. I mean, you know, we went from, you know, she was supporting me while I was playing summer ball in college as a secretary, you know. Yeah. So, I mean, we've traveled a huge area in the last 14, 15, 16 years. So, it's been it's been a blast, and thank God for her. I don't know how I would have a family. You know, I mean, it would be literally impossible for someone like myself to have a family without a strong woman, you know, strong spouse behind you. There's no question about that. I mean, it takes a very special person in order to do that.
Well, I know that a lot of people, when they asked about professional athletes, that was their main question. What happens when they go on the road? How does their family, you know, deal with that? Yeah. And I know, for me, I would wonder how you balance like the discipline in the home with you being gone that much, and then you come back. They would probably have gotten into a routine and have things kind of their way, and then you come back and you know there's Dad. And
yeah, I think it's not like I don't stay in touch with my children and don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? I mean, you know, Lori lets me know exactly what's going on, how they're doing at school, you know, how they're behaving, all that. So I stay on top of that, even though I might not see them for a week, you know. I might, you know, and then I see them, and then I can approach about it. I mean, they know that, you know, that whatever Mom says is the same thing I'm going to say. You know, they, you know, when they get to that age, mine are 11 and 9 now. They try and, you know, work one and then you know move to the other one. You know what I mean? And we tried to make sure that we're on the same page. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely when I come home in the off season is, you know, they have their routine. I just kind of slowly, kind of try and squeeze in and try not to step on any toes, and you know, try and slowly move back into our normal life. You know, I mean, it's different. I mean, it's not an easy thing to adjust to, but we've done it for so long. So,
Yeah.
we've done it for so long, and so far it's working.
Does that ever happen because on the off season, you have how many months? Like 5 months that you're home?
In the off season, depending on if you get in the playoffs or not in the playoffs. If you're in the playoffs, yeah, about 5 months. If you're not in the playoffs, about 5 months. If you're in the playoffs, I'm gonna say maybe 4.5 months.
So when you're home, you're home.
Yeah.
I think we'd all appreciate being able to be home for 5 months.
Yeah, I mean it's nice to be home. Really is. It's funny. It's like I used to come home and the family would be want to do stuff, and I'd be kind of like coming down off of 7 months of every day, on the go, and that created a little friction, sometimes,
A little bit.
But now that when I come home and the life that you live, in the first 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's very exciting because it's all new.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's all new stuff. It's all, you're traveling and, everybody's family, your wife's coming with you, traveling, seeing all these new cities, and you're staying in the best hotels. And it's so exciting. But after a while, it becomes not as important. You know what I mean? You kind of draw a line and say, wait a minute, this is not important. This is not what I want. I want to, our children are important, and this. So after a while, you just kind of get used to things, I mean, it doesn't have the same meaning anymore, I mean, like I said, now that I'm a professional baseball player, I mean, to me and the family, it's really not a big deal. It's what I do. It's my job. Just like, the guy that I go and have, pump gas into my car, at the station, I mean, that's his job, I mean, I don't consider myself better than anybody else because of what I do.
Right.
I treat people how I would want to be treated, and I don't think that I should get special treatment. It's just the way I am. It's the way I've always been, and I got my feet firmly on the ground, and I'm going to keep them there. And I think my wife has helped me keep them there. She's always been the one that's always had the hard time of going, wait a minute, kind of the person that I've always listened to, and it can be frustrating at times. The life can be frustrating at times, and then the life can be the greatest in the world. It has its ups and downs. I mean, you go out and play before 50, 60,000 people, and you go out and hit a home run. I mean, you can't imagine the feeling, inside of you. But if you go out there with the bases loaded in the ninth and you strike out, you can't imagine that feeling inside of you. So it's just a constant up and down, and you just kind of try and stay level-headed and not too, you don't get too excited when things go good, and you don't get too down when things go bad. You just kind of try and stay right in the middle and putt along and keep your psyche okay.
And I know there's a lot of ups, way ups, and a lot of way downs. And I kind of would like to tie it in with, the average businessman who's gone a lot and he travels, and he can't be home as much either. And, when he has a great day at work and he comes home, things are great. When he has a bad day at work, he comes home, things are bad. And it sounds like that would just be multiplied for you, or it could be.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was, I kind of went through a learning process myself as my career went on. And the thing that I used to do is I used to bring the game home with me.
Yeah.
And that was difficult, for my wife to understand, because she didn't really understand. She thought maybe it was her, and it had nothing to do with her. It was just the fact that I was maybe still upset about the game, or and it'll cause a little friction. So I finally learned that once I walk out that door, it's over with. I mean, whatever I want to think about, I stay in that locker room until I want to leave it in the locker room. As soon as I walk through that door, it's over with. I don't take it home with me anymore.
Let's try to tie that in more with businessmen more when we come back. We'll take a short break. Thank you.
test, not just of strength, but of the power of the mind. And if you complete the journey, you will be changed forever. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hi, welcome to Living Well. We are back with our guest today, Pete Incaviglia, and we're continuing to talk about what it's like being on the road. And for husbands is what we were relating it to, the men who are on the road a lot or just at the office a lot. What would you say would be one of the main things that they can do to really cultivate a relationship with their family in light of their deficit of time? How can they do that?
Well, when you're moving around, I think communication is the one biggest thing is to not necessarily. I know in my job, I can't speak for somebody who's a businessman because I'm not a businessman. I'm pretty much an athlete. I try and keep in touch with my wife and my kids every day and talk to them, and they call me, and it's kind of like, I may be in Seattle and you might be in Dallas, but it's like you're right around the corner. So I think communication is the number one thing, and when you're home, when we're together as a family, it's really special because I'm not around all the time. So take advantage of the time you have with your family and your wife, for me, as much as I'm gone, I try and make those times really special, and for my wife and for my kids. I think the time that you spend away, it's got to be greater than the time that you spend with your family. Kind of making sense, and because that's important to me. So, I just think being, communicating with your spouse and your children, and being able, if my son comes home and he wants to tell me about, what a great shot he made in hockey, he can do that. Thank God for the cell phone. Thank God for it. That's how I keep track of them. They call me on that cell phone and I call them. I could be in the locker room getting ready to go out and play, and the phone will ring and I'll jump on the phone. That's what it's all about. Just being there for your kids and your family. Like I said, it's just I'm very, very fortunate to have such a wonderful family who loves to travel. My wife loves to travel.
That's good. That's good.
They love going to stadiums. They love going to hotels, and my kids love ordering room service. I can't tell you how blessed I feel to be able to have the best of both worlds. I'm able to go out and do something I love to do, and yet I have two wonderful children and just a phenomenal, outstanding wife who just pretty much takes over the household and just gets everything done, and I feel very fortunate. I'm a very lucky person.
That's great. Let's talk about your kids, Nicholas and Renee.
Yeah.
I know I'm a counselor at Cornerstone Counseling Center, and one of the main questions that I hear from parents is, they want them to be good at what they do. They want them to have skills, play the piano well, be good athletes, make good grades. So I wanted to ask you, how do you balance that between, because they see you, your kids see you being praised for being a great baseball player, and people want your autograph, as you said, and people are trying to get to you because you're a great baseball player, and yet they really don't know anything about you.
No.
How would you say that you balance it with them to really understand what are the important things about them, their values and what they feel, and being a good person, whereas the skills are good, but also, how do you balance that?
Well, I've always said I'm not going to be one of those parents that push my child into doing something just to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I've always told my daughter and my son, whatever they want to do, I will back them up. I told my son, you don't have to play baseball. It's just because I'm a baseball player doesn't mean you have to play baseball. If you want to play baseball, I will support you 100%. I said, the only thing that I want you to do is if you do participate in something, whether it be baseball, football, basketball, my daughter, gymnastics, soccer, cheerleading, whatever it may be, I want you to give it 100%. and I want you to start what you finished. And I said, I don't care what you do. As long as that you're enjoying yourself and you want to do it, I'll stand behind it. And I'm not, it's funny. It's like my son really has taken to hockey, and I get so many people that go, well, he doesn't play baseball. I was just like, well, is he supposed to play baseball? I mean, I don't, it's kind of like that. It's kind of like an old myth, if you're a baseball player, everybody in your family is going to be a baseball player. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of like an old wives' tale, and
that might be tough to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, and I don't want that for them. I mean, I don't want that for them. I mean, I don't want my son to say, oh, there goes Pete Incaviglia's son. I want him to say, there goes Nicholas Incaviglia. I mean, he's an individual, and he has different, tastes. He has different, things he likes to do than I do. And I want him to be an individual. I'm just going to try and bring him up with the right values and the things that are very important, and try and support him and give him lots of love and try and support him in anything he wants to do, no matter what it is. And I think that's important. And the same with my daughter, I mean, they've tried everything. They've done this. My daughter's done the soccer thing, and she's was going to play basketball but didn't play basketball. And now she's into a cheerleading type. I think it's called Champion Cheer. They go have meets every weekend, and so I've been following it, and she really enjoys to do that, and she's kind of really found the thing that makes her happy. And so I support them in whatever they do. Just try and be there at every game, because I'm I've been playing baseball for 14 years. Been married for 14 years, so this is it goes hand in hand,
Wow.
and so I mean sometimes it's kind of hard, Sometimes I miss my son, going to his sporting events. I miss my daughter's, activity events, and so when I'm home, I try and make sure that I'm at every one and show them that I'm interested and I do care. You know what I mean? When kids get to that age, that they're at now, I think it's important that your parents stay, active and interested in your child's activities, the things they like to do. Just try and be a friend as long as a parent, and that's it's been fun, I mean, but my wife, on the other hand, has been there from day one, and she's been with him, and I mean,
is that hard to because it sounds like you have the athletics that you have to perform, that you do because it's your job,
right?
And on your days off, you have to come. You make it a point to come back home and be with your family. And I would think at times they might want to go out and do stuff, and you might be tired.
Yeah,
and,
it's the truth. I mean,
and yet you're trying to put them first. And
right.
When do you put Pete, first? How do you do that? Do you consider your career that?
I don't know. If you talk to my wife, she said I've always come first. You know how that goes. Yeah, it's tough. At first, it was tough. I mean, like I said, I went, from playing 14 years. Obviously, in the last 6 or 7, I've gotten better at handling what I learned in the first 2 or 3 years. You know what I mean? So. There's plenty of times when I'm home and I'm just spent from a whole season, and I need a couple weeks just to, join the human race again. You feel like a piece of meat, that they run out there every day, no matter what. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love what I do, and I feel blessed for being able to do what I want to do, but we don't get weekends off. Saturday and Sundays when most people are getting the days off, they're coming to the ballpark, come watch us play, what I mean? So, we may run into, 16, 17 days in a row of playing every day, without a day off. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I love what I do, but I'm saying at the end of 7 or 8 months, you're spent.
Mm-hmm. How do you do that when you get home?
Well, I used to just kind of sit around for a week, and I used to drive my wife nuts. She hated that. She hated me sitting on the couch, and I'm like just trying to touch her. Look, I'll be okay. Just give me a week. Give me, let me get, let me join the race again. I mean, I just, mind is constantly, on the game. And then when the game's done, when the season's over, it's all right. Let's unjumble everything in your head and let's, get on the program
Mm-hmm.
here. And it's a tough thing to do. It really is. I mean, it's it's a tough thing. I just say you got to have a strong family and you got to have a very good woman behind you who.
So do you get up and go or do you sit? Which one do you do?
Oh yeah, I get up and go now. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much, I just try and help my wife out as much as I can in every way. I try and wash, do the dishes,
Really?
vacuum a little bit, make the bed, just things that may not, but mean a lot to my wife, I mean, just try and help her out, in any way I can. And
I know for a lot of people who work a lot, they come home and they need some time to themselves, and yet they've been gone so much. The family wants their attention. The kids want to play. The kids want attention. And so many men have their jobs and they have their families, but they don't have a lot of friends. They don't have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have friends and free time?
Yeah, I mean, I play a lot of golf, and I have a lot of friends. But what's funny is, most of my friends are spread out the United States. So like I got friends in Arizona, I got friends in California, I got friends in New York. A lot of places that I've played, I made a lot of good friends, but I don't ever get to see them because we're we're so far apart. So. And I have a lot of friends here in the Metroplex, and I mean, I like to golf, but it's hard in the off season too. I also have to train, for the upcoming season. It's like, okay, the season's over, all right, you took a week off, now it's back to the gym. It's back to starting to run. It's back. I mean, you got to train for the upcoming season, so it's kind of a nonstop ordeal.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it's a nonstop. I mean, it's kind of like you play the season, then you get on your off-season program, and then before you know it, spring training's here, and it's like, God, what happened to the 4 months, the 4.5 months I had off, I mean, it's, you just kind of have to, like your family gets in a routine, you get in a routine, and you just try and make those routines mesh and work together. And
But it seems like, of all the baseball players, it seems like you've done a good job being able to balance it. It just sounds like that, even though it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. I think my wife has balanced it more than I have.
Yeah.
I think she deserves more credit, for the family life than I do because, I mean, she has sacrificed the most out of, I think, all of us. And I think, giving her due is important for me because I appreciate that, and you have to show that, I think, to your spouse. Hey, I appreciate you, putting your maybe aspirations and things that you may have wanted to do aside for me, and I think that's important. And she's the one that holds things together. She keeps the family, and she's a strong woman, and I'm very proud of her.
I know her a little bit, and she's really involved at the school and really involved with the kids and says wonderful things about you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being on. We thank you for being here, and it's been nice to hear about what a professional athlete's life is like and his family and how he balances it, and it sounds like you've just really done good, and we thank you very much.
Pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. And thanks for watching Living Well.